Hello YouTube and Winu, if you're still up and running over there. I haven't done a video in a very long time, but today I think I'm going to, because this has been something that has bothered me for a very long time, and it says a lot about us as a people, as a nation. And this is from living out here. We speak big talk about taking care of the poor, and we ship billions of dollars overseas feeding these people who burn our flag, and as soon as they're strong enough to heft a gun eating our food, come over here to kill us, or want to kill us, when we're doing so very little for the people in our country who are underserved or disadvantaged. And I've seen a lot of them. In the last 2 to 3 years, I've lived among many of them out here. And they're good people. A lot of them have been knocked off their feet and they simply cannot get up. It's pretty bad. And the biggest area, I think, to improve this gap is to allow their children to get a proper education so that they can move out of these lower brackets of poverty that they live in. A lot of these people, they barely have enough food to eat, if any. They are managing, but barely enough to keep their lights on, eat, or anything. They have very little provision for their children's education other than what the very, very underserved public schools out here can provide, which is very little. Most of the children out here, as it stands, they're either going to leave to get a better education, or they're not going to get beyond, they'll get beyond high school, but most of them are not going to go beyond that. They're going to stick around out here because really the opportunities for them are bleak with their level of education, what they're getting, and the tools they have for getting their education. So I've decided that I want to do something about it. I don't sleep well at night thinking about these things. So I have skills. I can build computers, both new and old. So what I think I want to do, I want to start a project, and I want to at least one a month, at the least one a month, depending on availability of parts. And this is another thing I want to ask y'all about. As I come across parts, I'm going to try to build at least one machine a month, a good solid machine, not a gaming class machine, not anything super new, because most of it's going to be built on donated parts. And we don't want them carrying them straight off to the pawn shop to try and get a few bucks for them. So I'm going to build machines maybe a generation back, Pentium 3 or higher, or Athlon XP or higher, depending on the level of donations. I've got parts here, and I've already built one or two, and I'm going to distribute those probably soon. But it's just awful to see how things are out here, man. There's a family that lives near me. They have 4 kids. They can barely afford to feed them, keep the lights on, keep them in clothes and whatnot, much less acquire a reasonably good computer for schoolwork for their children. And this is the way it is all around here, East Texas, if you've ever been out here, if you want to turn a blind eye to it, that's fine. If you think the government is serving them well, let me tell you, come out here and live for a couple years. Get to know them. You're going to find out that these people are being shafted in a lot of ways. But I want to put machines together for a few of these people. I will hand pick them. I want to make sure that they're not just going to try to sell it off to get a few bucks, that they actually need it for their children, or they need it for the function of their household. And I'm going to start distributing these as I get parts to build them. I mean, I've sat here now for quite a while with these skills, and I'm not putting them to work. And how better a way to put them to work than to help somebody who really genuinely needs the help, you know? So here's my question to y'all. Whether or not you guys send me anything, this is the course I'm going to take, and I'm going to try to at least maintain that level of output. It won't always happen, because the other thing about being out in the middle of nowhere is there's not really a reliable source of parts out here. I could go to Houston and probably hit the Goodwill computer places, but hey, they're making money off of that. I plan to make no profit off of this whatsoever. This is strictly to help people. I mean, there's a caricature of a government guy, big and fat, and he's taking his spoon and he's spooning out of the bowl of this poor American, and he's taking that food that was in that bowl and he's feeding it over there to some guy with an AK-47 and a turban on his head. You know, this is what's going on. Why are we feeding people who could care less and weakening our country? Because all that stuff that's going over there, or a lot of that foreign aid, that's tax dollars paid by a lot of these people who are living at the poverty line. They could better use it to feed themselves. You know, we need to take care of our own house. We need to put our own house in order. You know, why try to remove the splinter from someone else's eye while you're walking around with a log in your eye? You know, I think our duty as Americans is to help our fellow Americans, keep our country strong, you know. Help the children get a decent education so they can actually work a job that makes a stable income, you know. And stop shipping those jobs overseas, you know. We're paying Chinese people to put stuff together. We're paying China. These people are amassing a military that in the end, when we run out of money, or when they decide, they could walk right over the top of us. They've got millions upon millions of people over there. You know, they could easily and readily put them in uniforms, and with all this fancy military equipment they've built with our money buying from them. And yes, this is a Chinese device, but right now there's no other choice. I think in the long term, we do need to start manufacturing in this country again. We need to put these idle hands to work. We need well-educated people here, and we need them running factories and working in factories and doing jobs that keep things running. We can't sell our souls to foreign countries for the junk we use, you know. So, but that's my plan. The very first step is to get people equipped to at least educate themselves. So, I'm gonna probably go forward with this initiative pretty soon and just start building a computer once a month or more if I get more parts. Anybody that donate parts, I'm gonna put up a website and I'm gonna list them and their donation and where their donation went. I won't be able to use broken stuff, but if I manage to salvage good parts out of broken machines, then those parts will be put together into other machines. And I know, at least, if you're watching this video, you're most likely watching it on a newer, more modern device, and you most likely have an old junker somewhere in your attic, or in a garage, or in a storage unit, or you have parts laying around because you built a new one or you upgraded, so you've got an old motherboard or a CPU or memory or cables, even a case or a power supply. If you have these things, get in contact with me via the YouTube channel, or we'll work privately. I don't want any personally identifiable information floating out on the channel. We'll work through private messages. But I want to start doing this. I don't expect any kind of real response from a lot of people, but those few of you that do help out, Just know where it's going, and I'll make sure you know where it's going. You know, you will receive contact from me. We'll stay in touch, and that's my plan. If you think it's a good idea, well, good for you. I'm gonna sleep better at night. You know, I may die later on, but at least I did some good for my fellow man before I passed. You know, that's kind of how I look at it. Whether you sleep better at night or not, well, that's entirely up to you. You know, you can choose to laugh about this and move on, or maybe you can do some good. You know, be useful and donate. So anyway, you know, and yeah, that's a stab. And let me tell you why it's a stab. I've seen a lot of people laugh at the plight of the poor, but you know what? There was a whole lot of these poor people who had lots of things and were well-to-do just a few years back until the bank made them homeless. So don't laugh at people lower than you, because you might just be there one day. And that's pretty much my sermon and my request. I'm kind of tired, so I know I'm not the most, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't have the best charisma right now. But this really doesn't require charisma. This is simply a thing that's the right thing to do. Take care, everyone. Stay in contact.